Hi, my name is Vera V, and welcome to the 25th episode of my podcast, Stories by Vera V. I'm so excited, and I'm so delighted to have you here with me. I just made this song up, so I hope you enjoy it. It was a musical masterpiece. So right now, just to preface things, it's very hot in my room. I'm standing as I'm recording this, actually. People watching this on YouTube or on Spotify's videocast, they can tell. And I'm also very lethargic because of the heat. It's really overwhelming. But on the topic of patience, hey, I can't control the weather, so I'm just letting it pass. I'm being patient until February starts feeling like February again. But on the topic of more philosophical things, let's get into it. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going to be talking about patience and how everything happens in its own time. Interesting stories by interesting people. Stories by Vera V. What's ironic? That's not the right word. I know it's not, because the definition of irony is not that. But I'll use it anyway. What's really ironic about this episode is that it's actually coming out on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time instead of the usual Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time that it would come out at, because new episodes come out every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And before we get into the content of this video, before we get into it, I just have one request. Leave my show a rating and or a review, preferably both. A rating would be cool. I don't know. I like rating things. So just click the 5 stars and move on. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. I'll give you 5 seconds for 5 stars. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm being quite a comedian today. The heat is really getting to my head. I don't know what aspect of my personality this is, but I don't really know how to feel about it. Except, well, hot. Because it really is hot in my room. So on the topic of this episode, it's actually coming out on Friday in the morning instead of Thursday, 24 hours later, because, and this is very important, this is a topic I feel I need to touch upon. I didn't want to half-ass it. I just didn't. I know that I have deadlines, right? Sort of. Nothing's really depending on this podcast, this project of mine, except for me and you. I mean, if you're used to listening at a particular time, you know, like I don't have to send it to anybody for approval or anything, which is great because I can really regulate it and make it my own that way, if that makes sense. But still, I really like to stick to the schedule. And so I was supposed to release it today in the morning, but I didn't do that because I knew that if I would be recording it on a Wednesday night, and I was so tired yesterday. It was a really full day. And if you're curious about that, I have a vlog on my Instagram at very nothing. It's like a little reel. It's cute. I like it. It was a very full day. And I was tired. And I knew that if I were to record it, I could push myself to do it, you know. But it just wouldn't be the same. And I feel like with creative work especially, it's very important to really take my time on things. It's very important. There's this quote that my dad always references. I'm not sure from whom it is from or where it's from. I don't know. But he always says slow is fast. And I understand that that is dichotomy or an oxymoron. I think a dichotomy. See, the heat is getting to my head. My thought process is incredibly slow today. Stupendously slow, if I may. But slow is fast. And it sounds like it doesn't make sense, but trust me, it does. I'll give you another example. With my podcast, I'm releasing episodes 2 times a week, right? Before that, I did 1 time a week up until the 8th episode or so, which is 2 months into my podcast. You can double check me on that because don't quote me, just double check me on that. And thing is, I could have started doing 2 episodes per week from the very get-go, you know, and I would be able to pull through. Yes, I'd be able to, because once again, it's a priority. But I had school at the time, and I knew that if I put that much pressure on myself, I would be half-assing it. So instead, I really took my time. I was posting 1 episode per week until I was absolutely sure, feeling it deep down in my heart and in my gut that I could do 2 episodes a week. And now I can, and I do. And sometimes there are exceptions. Like I typically am very much on schedule, but sometimes there are just days like yesterday where I just know that if I recorded then, that it's not going to be the same. But here we are. Today we're blessed with this very wonderful episode that is done in heat. So if I may, and I apologize for this in advance, this episode is lit, right? Now, the topic of taking things slow with creative work. If you may know this, you may not. I have a first song coming out soon. I'm releasing my first ever song. I'm a singer-songwriter. It feels so good to say it because I actually am. Like I have work on the way, you know? I don't know. I write a lot. I just don't typically share it, which I know I should start doing. And I am. 1 day at a time. Slow is fast, you know? Consistency over anything. But yeah, I have a song coming up, and it's been my dream since I was 11 or 12. 13, that's when I decided I was going to do music, like point blank period sort of thing. But at 9 years old, I started singing. Like I knew that I was wanting to be a singer. I knew that I wanted to be a singer-songwriter when I was about 13, because that's when I realized that there's nobody in the world that I could trust more with my art and my creative expression than myself. That's just the truth of things. That's just the truth of things. And so right now I'm working on my first song, and I just think about this whole process, how I'm almost 18 years old. My birthday is in 2 months. And I know that the world is changing, and age, I don't feel like it's becoming such a big factor in things. Because if you think back to all the musical legends, all and any, Amy Winehouse, when did she start? When she was really young. There's a video of her singing at like 14, which is cool. I mean, obviously she was singing before that, and I was singing at 14 as well. But I'm just talking about when did they start releasing things, Amy Winehouse, I'm not sure. Beyonce, she was maybe 15. That's my guess. Rihanna, also like 16. Taylor Swift, when she was a senior in high school. There's this little speech that she gave. I think she received some sort of award for music. And she was like, this definitely makes my senior year. I'm sure you've heard it on TikTok or Instagram Reels or something. But gosh, And I mean, it's a whole other conversation to be like, oh, I shouldn't compare myself. Because I don't really compare. I just kind of look at things and put them into perspective. So point is, I could have started a lot sooner. I could have let the pressure, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, the pressure. Because nobody's pressuring me. I don't have a label. I'm an independent artist. Nobody's pressuring me like, oh gosh, you have to release this when you're 15. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of people that start a lot earlier than I am, even though I am only 18, almost. My birthday is actually, let me check. I'm curious myself. My birthday is in 44 days. So by the time you're listening to this, if you listen to it right when it comes out, it's in 43 days, which is cool. March 26th. Mark your calendar for whatever reason. Totally not hinting at anything. So with this process, I'm really taking my time. I decided in the summer, or I think maybe a year and a half ago or so, it's been a while, I decided that I was going to start working on my music as soon as I graduated high school, right? And that I could have just had this internal monologue and had this conversation to myself like, okay, but why can't you start now? Like, why can't you start recording now while you're in school, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I think what it comes down to is priority. Obviously, music was my priority then as it is right now. But back then I was just practicing and being more focused on that. And also school, like graduating. Because that's a lot of my time. That's 8 hours a day, man. School. And I think in Europe, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but someone told me that they finished school at like 5 p.m. Like that's a huge chunk of my time. And then there's homework, So point is, that's what I decided. And I think it's very easy to start rushing things, which is where the whole topic, the theme of patience comes in. It's very easy. I've done it multiple times. I rush myself. Not as much as I used to, but I still do. So I could have been like, no, I'm going to start this earlier because I don't even know why. But right now that I am starting later, right? And I kind of have things figured out more or less. I just want to share the whole process that goes behind my first song that's going to come out super soon. And I'm so excited. I just get so giddy when I talk about it because honestly, gosh, it's the most personal thing I think I've ever released. Well, when I release it, I can say that, but it's the most personal thing that I plan on releasing ever. Point is, right now, the process, it's never felt more right. And I really mean that. It just never felt more right. It's so natural. And thing is, I think I came to this realization maybe a week ago or so, but I realized that how I know I'm ready for things is when they just stop seeming so life-changing, It's like with the song, when I was 12 years old, 13, still in school, I thought that it would just be such a life-changing thing. And it's not at all. And that's not a bad thing. It just feels so natural. Like it's just part of my life. It's just part of my daily routine. It's what I do. I'll work on my song. And then it's going to release and I'm going to work on another song. Because that's part of my life now. It's part of who I am. It just feels so natural, But I feel like oftentimes, myself included, we just get in our heads and we romanticize and over-romanticize ideas of things and try to make them perfect, right? Instead of just getting it done. So my whole speech is just that for me, I've learned that done is better than perfect. And patience is a virtue. And also with this song. So right now, I can't share too much on it. I just don't want to, because I want to share when things are solidified, out of respect for myself, for my art, and for you, obviously. Because why would I want to say something and then have it be bluff, because it's not like particularly solidified. So I would say I'm not in the early stages anymore. I'm about to record the official vocals for it, which when you're listening to this, I probably would have already done that. And then I plan on releasing it. Maybe, it's not solid or anything yet, but I plan on releasing it on my 18th birthday. That's March 26, 2022. So by the time I record it, I'm going to have more than a month before I release it, right? And that seems like a lot of time. And I was talking to my dad, and he was like, yeah, so if you're going to record it this week, like, why don't you just release it in February, And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. But at the end of the day, it's very good to consolidate with the people you trust, quite obviously. But what's even better is listening to yourself and listening to your gut. But for me, I don't like rushing on creative work. And I'm sure you can relate to this. I just don't like rushing because I feel like it just takes away. And with the song, when I know that I have a month, when I have the finished product, I have a month to promote it, to market it, to create a music video, which, by the way, I'm so excited for. If you're listening to this like 3 months from now, to this episode, gosh, watch that music video. Watch it. I wish I could tell you the song name, but I can't just yet because it's not official. But you'll know. You'll know. The whole world will know. I'm just kidding. I'm not. Everybody that follows me will know. That's how I'm going to promote my song. But I'm excited for the music video. I have so many ideas. Point is, I'm getting sidetracked. It's fine. Here I am. I feel like I'm being more alive again. Even though the heat is really pressing down on me, my song's just making me live it up. But point is, I have a lot of time allocated to the whole process, right? And I'm really taking my time because patience is a virtue. I feel like, okay, with hustle culture, and I know I'm kind of part of it because hustle, grind doesn't stop, And I believe that. Yeah, sure. But I think with it, it's always these motivational speeches that personally, I like them in some way, but I don't take them to heart fully ever. Even if I make reels with that sound, right? I like that. I like the message of it, but I don't take it in its full. I take everything with a grain of salt. And I also take pretty much nothing personally, which I feel like is a very good approach to life in general. They always make you feel like you don't have enough time, right? And I feel like with me, if I'm being more personal, with my upbringing, I grew up on the phrase like, don't waste time. Quite literally. That's the influence of my parents, primarily my dad. If you're listening to this, hey, of course he's listening. He listens to every episode. I love my dad. But the point is, it's always like, don't waste time, don't waste time, don't waste time, right? And I feel like right now, I feel my mindset changing. It's okay to take things slower sometimes. If you were to talk to me when did I start my Instagram account? Like the way that I do it now. What, April 2021? Okay. If you were to talk to me from that period to maybe until, I don't know, September or so, like April to August, if you were to talk to me, be like, oh, hey, it's okay to take a break, I would have laughed in your face. I really would have. Not that I didn't take breaks, but to me, it was just such an alien idea that that's something that's like not wasting time, Because I think for me, with growing up, I'm really starting to see that things aren't as black and white as I thought they once were. And I still can be very judgmental about certain things and see them as black and white, and it takes me a second to fully process. That's just human nature. That's my human nature. And what can I do about it? Well, just do the best I can every day, That's what it really comes down to. But yeah, back then I was just like, yeah, I'm either grinding or I'm being lazy. There's no in between. But actually, a couple of days ago, I spent a good majority of my day, not the majority, a good portion of my day. I was watching Euphoria, and it's a show, right? And I had some comments, like people DMing me after that. Oh, but didn't you say that laying all day on a couch is a waste of time? Well, first of all, you can't quote me on that because I never said it in those specific terms. The things that I did say, and you can quote me on, is I said spending all day in bed sounds absolutely torturous, and it does. I've never done that unless I was sick. But spending a good portion of the day consuming art, I don't think it's a waste of time at all. So see, it's a matter of perception. For me, in that April to July, August period, it would have been a waste of time. It's like, oh, why am I not living my life? Why am I watching other people live their lives? Reality television and whatnot. But it's only recently that I've started realizing that those things, to me creatively, as a creative person, as a singer-songwriter, as an artiste, if you will. I draw, I do so many things. They're actually very beneficial. They are. And it sounds like I'm making an excuse because I think I'm just tapping back into my old mindset, like, oh, you're just making an excuse for being lazy. But at the end of the day, that's not it. So even though the people around me may tell me that, laying on the couch for, 2 or 4 hours watching a show is a waste of time, to me, it's not. Because at the end of the day, any sort of media, that's how I approach it. It's a work of art, especially good ones like Euphoria. And it's actually a lot of the scenes that I watched in it have inspired my music video that I haven't filmed yet, but I'm gonna, and I'm really excited for it. And so it's obviously beneficial in that way. Anything and everything that I watch as a work of art is inspiring to me. And how do I know what's a waste of time, what isn't? Well, my new definition, straying away from that old mindset where literally everything is a waste of time unless you're moving. And I was sleeping like 5 hours a day. Like, what is that? I used to think, listen, I've never claimed to be perfect, and I will never claim to be perfect until the day I die. I'm not perfect. My lifestyle, it's not perfect. But who's it perfect for? It's for me. It's good for me. It's great for me. So I never have positioned myself as an expert on self-development or anything. Those are just core values that lead my life and are leading me to places that I'm now going. But back then, I used to think that if I weren't sleeping 5 hours, I was wasting my time. I used to think that life's too short to spend a third of my day sleeping, And it's only recently, after December, I think, during winter break, that I realized that that's not a waste of time at all. Because when I do spend a third of my day sleeping, the 2/3 of my day that I have left, they're more productive than ever. I actually have the desire to do them. I don't need to run on adrenaline all the time. Like, I actually feel good, it's slowing down a little bit. And so back to the show watching. I've never spent a whole day watching shows in recent years. Yeah, not recently. Maybe I have, I don't know. The point is, I don't think it's a waste of time because if I'm taking in, once again, a work of art consciously, right? Consciously. And I know that it's going to inspire something else. I'm living. That's part of life. That's part of my human existence. I'm so grateful that I have access to works of art like shows, movies, songs. Is listening to music 4 hours a day a waste of time? I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. If I'm somehow expanding my horizons there. So with Euphoria, it portrays a lifestyle that I'm quite obviously not familiar with at all. And it talks about very dark subjects. I love that show, by the way. I really like it. Talks about and touches on very dark subjects such as addiction. And I've never had firsthand experience with it, right? I know people who, in my family, who have been addicted, but that's not something I have firsthand experience with. It portrays, there are a lot of sex scenes in it, like a lot. Humorously so, a lot. I see genitalia every 3 seconds. But it is what it is. Their drug use, there's everything in that show. And it's very interesting. I like it because I feel like it also portrays the effects of addiction. And I view them as accurate from my perspective. Once again, my perspective is limited because addiction is not something I've personally experienced with. But point is, that show is it is opening my horizons to a part of life that I will otherwise never get a chance to see. And I think that's what's so wonderful. That's what's so wonderful about works of art. I read a book. I read Stoner by John Williams recently, and you can listen to my review on season 1, episode 23, where I talk about the books I read in January. And it's about this middle-aged man who spends his whole life at university, basically, because he's a student and he teaches and whatnot. And how would I otherwise have a chance to witness this as sort of secondhand experience had I not read the book, right? I wouldn't have that chance. So I don't think consuming works of art is a waste of time at all. Not as long as it expands my horizons. However, what I do think is wasting time is if I spend like the whole day on scrolling on TikTok. Do some TikToks expand my horizons? Sure. But for the most part, I don't remember any of them. If you ask me what's the last TikTok I watched, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Not at all. I just wouldn't be able to tell you. However, if you ask me to recite an episode 5, season 2 of Euphoria, I could go into detail. That episode was really intense. If you watch Euphoria, gosh, it's intense. But by the way, if you plan on watching, it's for mature audiences, so take that into consideration. But yeah. So we've covered my song. And regarding half-assing things and rather not doing them and taking my time on things, I also have an example with my challenge that I launched, the self-development challenge Powerhouse 31. hashtag powerhouse31. It's on my Instagram profile at veranothing if you're curious. But that challenge, its whole intent was to start now, start before the new year, 2022, to start working on yourself, you know? And it was really hard, I'll tell you that much. And fitting it, it's supposed to be done after school, which is exactly what I did because I was a full-time student back then. And I'm not a student anymore because I graduated high school early. I also have an episode of that. It's episode 17. Season 1, episode 17. See how I just remember things? Yeah. I love being young and having a good memory and remembering things. The point is, with that challenge, I also launched a product line for it. It's on my online store. See, I'm also a business owner. I do so many things. www.growingtogether.store. And the products on it, they're not specifically for the challenge. They can be, but it's also meant to be used outside of that. And with those, I'll admit that I rushed because I set myself deadlines. Like I'll finish 3 digital products in a week. And that's a bit. That's a lot. Each one takes me it took me 4 or 5 hours or so, which is a lot. It's a lot of time. So 15 hours of work every week up until the challenge. So the point is I rushed on that. And then I took a step back and I did an announcement, actually. I was like, listen, guys, one thing I'll not sacrifice is my health because that's when I started sleeping. Good thing for me. I was like, I'm not going to sacrifice my health on this. I'm not going to sleep 2 hours to get this done because, well, putting myself first, you know? And I didn't half-ass it because I took that time. And then also my driver's license. If you don't know, I started driving recently, 6 months ago to be exact. And I got my driver's license. That is season 1, episode 21. Yeah, I talk about my driving experience. And I started when I was relatively old for a teenager, you know, because in California, you can start when you're 15 and a half, which is incredibly early. And that's eerily early, I think. 15 and a half year old kids on roads. And at 16, you can drive yourself. That's scary. That's very much scary, I feel like. Sorry, but I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of off-putting now that I really think about it. So you can drive, but you can't vote. And your insurance is also really high. So the point is I started later. And at this point in time, I also think, what if I had started when I was 14 or so? You know, what would happen then? But I didn't. I took my time on it. And now I actually need this skill because I'm out of high school. Back when I was in school, where would I drive? You know what I'm saying? School, I can walk to it. I walk to it pretty much every single day. But now that I'm out of school, I can actually utilize that skill. So I was patient with myself. And I really gave myself time. And I think with things as important as driving, when there are other people involved, it's good to take your time on it. It really is. Because other people are involved. They're directly affected by your actions, by your solid thought process, by your defensive driving or lack thereof. Did you know that based on my driver's learner's ed, that's not it. Based on my driving learning, that online course, based on that, 50% of teenagers get into an accident in their first year of driving. 50%. Today was my second drive alone ever, even though I got my license a while back. But it was my second drive alone. So I hope I don't get into an accident. And the thing is, I know I won't because I'm a good driver, right? And I can control what I can control. So hopefully I don't because I can't control the people around me. But because I took my time on it, I know that I'm now fully ready to be driving. And you know where I drove to? I drove to the gym. And on topic of my fitness journey, let's talk about it. How long have I been working out? Well, since probably the day I was born. Since the day I was born. My parents were very adamant about exercise, and I'm so glad. So then I did tennis. At first I did gymnastics, then I did tennis. I did a bunch of stuff. So the point is I was always active, but I started going to the gym regularly since May 2021 because I also took a break because I had tennis and it was kind of weird. Because gosh, I'll tell you this much, doing 3 workouts a day, that's tough. And also balancing that with music practice and content creation and whatnot, it was tough. Tough with a capital T. Because in the morning, 5:30 a.m., I would go to the pool or I would go for a run because I love those things. And then right after that, I would go to the gym, typically with my sister. And then in the afternoon, I had tennis practice. And in the summer, that's exactly how it was because it was 3 times a day. And when school started, it was 2 workouts a day. So the point is, it was really tough. right? But I started working out consistently, I think, May 2021. That's when I started hitting the gym. And I also had tennis. So it was a little bit interesting. But point is, I think with fitness journeys, it's always like, because those things take time. I think as any creative work does, but especially fitness journeys, they take time. You can show up to the gym every single day for 3 days and you can spend 8 hours working out. Are you going to see a difference? Well, the only difference you would be able to see, I think, is water weight or lack thereof, because you just sweat it all out. So it's important to stay hydrated. If you're listening to this at the gym, stay hydrated. Take a sip right now. Take a sip. I don't care if you're mid-rep. Actually, no, finish your set and then take a sip. Anyway, so I think those things take time. And as humans, we're very impatient. We're very impatient, I feel like, just generally in life. And so I remember wishing that with working out, I had started earlier at the gym. First time I actually went to the gym to do weight training was October 2020. Yeah, that's when it was. My form was terrible. It was just so bad. So bad. And I think I also did something just for legs, just for that booty gains, which, by the way, is not my mindset right now at all. When I was 13 or so, and I was deadlifting like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 70 pounds with improper form, it was quite a time. Let's not do that again. I will never do that again, ever. So the point is, with my fitness journey, right now, I'm in a very solid place. I go to the gym 4 times a week. And I go hard every time. My split is upper body day and then leg day, because legs are a big muscle group. Actually, is it one muscle group or is it multiple groups of muscle? I don't know. See, I left school and now I don't know things such as example provided. But also, I never learned them in school as well. And I've always been a good student. So I think if it were talked about, I would have soaked that information right in like a sponge. But I didn't, because that was omitted. I'm just kidding. So with that, what was I talking about? Gosh, the heat is really getting to me. I'm like standing and then there are water droplets, perspiration droplets just dripping down my legs, dripping down my knees. I feel it. What can I say? It's really hot in my room. The point is, with my fitness journey, right now I'm in a solid place. That's what I was talking about. I go to the gym 4 times a week. I exercise, I think, 5 or 6 times a week. And I always make sure to take a rest day. It's usually Sunday. Sometimes it's middle of the week, whenever I just need it, where I just don't do anything. But even on that rest day, I can go for a walk. Just do something nice and gentle. And also make sure to stretch every day. I'm in a really solid place. And would I have been able to figure this out when I was 13? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. Right now, my form at the gym is impeccable. If you ever see me, if I look like a bitch, don't be scared. Don't be alarmed. That's just my look. I have a shy demeanor. I'm like shy in public. So that's because of that. I'm not actually mean. I'm very nice sometimes. I'm kidding. I like to think I'm a nice person. So if you see me at the gym, just be like, oh, hey, Vera, keep up the grind. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, same. Did you listen to episode 25 of my podcast? And you'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Wow, amazing. So that's why you're talking to me. And you'll be like, yeah. So see, we would have had a hypothetical conversation. That can be made true if you ever see me at the gym. The point is, my form is impeccable. If you see me, you'll see me. I also post snippets to my Instagram story if you want to take a look and judge yourself. But it's really good. It's really, really good. When I was 13, it wasn't. Those things take time. I'll tell you this much. How do I know what to do right now with all that I do in my fitness regimen? Because, quite bluntly, I've just put in that work. I've been working my ass off and my arms off and literally everything off from the age when I was 13 or from May 2021, whatever date you want to choose, pick and choose, whatever, up to you, dealer's choice. My friend says that, dealer's choice. She's probably listening to this right now because she says she listens to my podcast because she drives a lot. So, hey Angie, how are you? I'm good. Thanks. How are you? I already asked that. Point is, it just takes time. Those things take time. Any creative work, it takes time. Just give it time. That's it. Be patient. Patience is a virtue. And when I was looking up the definition of that phrase, I don't know why, but I just was. It said that patience is a valuable quality in a person. So that's what that phrase means. Patience is a virtue. Everything in its own time. And lastly, yesterday I was babysitting, and I was babysitting this kid whom I've been babysitting since I was maybe 15 or 14. So it's been 3 years or 2 years. I really watched him grow up. And I babysit him every 6 months or so. I don't know why. It just happens to be that way. Where I'm called upon and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see you again. I can see you again. That's simply it. I can see you again. Now he's 6 or so. And it's such a nice experience seeing him again and just watching him be older. We were talking about Saturn and Jupiter, and he was actually interested in it. He was interested in Saturn and Jupiter. And if you were to ask him 6 months ago, well, he wasn't that much. Like, he just couldn't hold a conversation even. But now he can. He's growing up. And that ties into the idea of patience, because with kids, obviously when you're a kid and you're growing up, you don't really realize it, I feel like, in a sense. Like, you're not consciously aware that you're getting older. Same way I think that I'm not aware of it right now. I like to think that I'm pretty self-aware, but I don't know. To me, it's just exciting. It's not a dreadful thing to be getting older, which I don't think it should be a dreadful thing for anyone. The point is, you just don't really notice it. And so with kids, I feel like just from the get-go, they're very patient with themselves, right? Because they do their silly little tasks, not even knowing that the end result is going to be them however old they are. Do you know what I'm saying? They just take it one day at a time, and they're just patient with themselves. And as are their parents. If you're a parent and you're listening to this, I applaud you. I hope to be a parent someday. And I just can't imagine. That's so tough. Kids are so narcissistic, man. But that's fine. It's very natural. But they're just so narcissistic. Narcissistic little creatures that change every day you see them, basically. Gosh, the amount of patience it requires to be a parent, absolutely applause-worthy. Absolutely applause-worthy. And so finally, to conclude my idea of patience and waiting for things, what it all comes down to, I think, hold on, I'm going to throw my phone in the bed. Okay, I don't know if you heard it, but it made a little bump. To conclude, I think patience, it's not about sitting around doing nothing and just waiting for things. It's about moving. Yeah, making consistent progress, keeping up a consistent pace, doing all you can each and every day, all you can. That doesn't have to be 100% of your objective ability, just all you can on any given day. Because some days you just feel more down than others and you just don't really feel like working, but you do it anyway. You show up for yourself, you honor your goals, your desires, whatever it is. You honor all of that and you just make a mix. And I think, honestly, every single day that I do anything, it's just the best that I could have done that day. That's my perspective on it. So today, if I do this amount of work, that's the best I could have done today. That's how I view things. So point is, you just give your best each and every day. And you keep in mind the outcome, right, for whatever it is. Like for me working on my song, I'm practicing a lot right now, a lot. And I know that I'm going to record it, and I'm going to record it probably literally tomorrow, which is funny. I'm going to record it, and I know how I want it to sound like, but I just take it one day at a time. I'm patient with myself. Everything happens in its own time when you put in the work. So put in the work. Put in the work. I don't think patience is a virtue saying it's about just waiting around. Like for me, okay, I'll give you an example. Not for me, but just as a sort of example I think we can all relate to. In our current media, you oftentimes see people being like, oh, I want a girlfriend so bad. Like, oh, no boy will talk to me. I want a boyfriend so bad. I want a significant other. I want a non-platonic lover. I want a romantic lover. I want to hold hands and I want to... You get the point. You get the point. Don't we all? Don't we simply all? We get the point. The point is, if you're in that sort of situation, how do you expect? And I ask this as a sort of third-person omniscient voice, POV. How do you expect to get to that goal of making... I'm trying to put this in a very... easily comprehensible yet not disrespectful way. How do you plan on making a romantic connection with another human being if you don't put yourself out there? You know what I'm saying? That was just me refraining from using the phrase getting a boyfriend or getting a girlfriend, because that sounds like, or getting a significant other, that sounds like getting a dog. And those are simply not the same things in a healthy relationship, or in any relationship, as I like to imagine. The point is, if one is looking for a romantic partner, you objectively can't really find them unless you put yourself out there. You start going on dates. I don't know, dating apps for the win. Actually, I used to, I was very judgmental about those things. But then again, they're made for busy people, right? So, okay, I'm going to conclude with this. I don't really know what else I want to say today. This is pretty much it. Today was a very laid back episode because, once again, I'm just standing and sweating and talking. That's what today is. But it is what it is. And that's actually a very wise phrase that I feel like people don't appreciate enough. If you listened all the way to the end, I just want to give you a hug and a kiss and tell you that it's going to be okay. Oh gosh, that sounds so cute. I don't know why I said that, but I just did. Okay, bye. I'm going to go before I sweat my water weight off. Before I sweat my body mass off in water. That made no sense. See, the heat really is getting to my head. Stay hot, XOXO, Gossip Girl.